You can put the most amazing tool, but if you don't have the culture change, it won't be enough.
If you don't make mistakes, you're not trying hard enough.
HR is not just a department, it's an engine of business success.
We want them to be happy, seen and heard, but at the end of the day, we want to create a competitive advantage with HR.
To get into HR, you need to love people. You need to love being at service.
Great experiences don't just happen, they're manufactured. Someone is playing a symphony.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ryan Leary, William Tincup here. You are listening to the You Should Know podcast. William, what's going on?
How much, man? Having a good day. How about yourself?
I've never had a bad day in my life. And today is going to be better because we have Lila Nazef on. Lila, how are you?
I am fantastic and getting better and better.
You
There
are
we go.
fantastic.
Yeah, I
Done.
thought she said, did you say fantastic?
Oh, it's just the French accent there.
There you
Yes.
go. I thought
You're
you
going to
said
hear a lot of
fantastic. I'm
that.
like, that's pretty cool.
That's actually pretty cool. That
Yeah, I
goes
liked
into
it.
that goes into
I
a
liked
profile somewhere. That's
Yeah.
nice.
So,
Mhm.
Lila, do
Fantastic.
us a favor. Introduce yourself to the audience, and then we'll get this thing moving.
All right, so Lila Nazef, I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing at Neocase Software for North America. So been in the United States for the last 7 years. Apologies if you hear a thick French accent. I cannot get rid of it. It's like COVID. When you have it, you keep it.
Yeah, that's true. The cough
Do
never
you-
goes away.
But do you really want
Yeah.
to get rid of it? I mean, do you really want to get rid of it? Because it's a beautiful accent. Do you
Uh,
really want to get rid
Even
of it?
if I wanted, I couldn't. I
Right.
still speak French on a daily basis.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yes.
the first question out of my mind is, you're over sales and marketing.
Correct.
If you had to pick one, which one do you like more?
Sales. It's like trivia.
Boom, sales.
Sales.
Yeah,
This is the second conversation today we had where we had to make a decision.
yeah. I actually like that because sales is it's the hunt. It's a different marketing is a different game, and you play differently in marketing. But sales is the hunt. You're hunting and you're having fun. And it's
Yes.
rejection management. People say no, blah blah blah, that type of stuff. But it's a hunt, and there's a
It's a hunt.
success. So people sign contracts and you win. Like
Exactly.
it becomes a
And then
game, a fun game.
you're up to the next one, and then you get smarter after every win and after every loss.
Yeah, we call that the win-loss analysis. It's when I used to run sales, it was the universe of no's. We'd figure out every objection that people would possibly give you, like, oh, I don't have the budget,
Mhm.
we're doing a transformation project, whatever the no is, and figure out how to make the no a maybe, and then figure out how to make the maybe a yes.
Oh, yes.
So it just became this thing of mapping all the universe of, because it's finite. There's always so many different ways people could say no to software.
That is true.
So
That is true.
very good. So your sales first, marketing second.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Sounds like she just left the marketing team in
No,
the gutter. But
it's your
you know,
passion. It's your
yeah,
passion.
you know, it's
No,
all
no,
good.
no.
All right.
This is
It's
in
a
her heart.
passion. I think I
That's
was
all.
born a salesperson, so there's
There
nothing
we
can
go.
do against it.
Yeah, nothing at all.
Yeah. So, Leila, we were talking about how you can build a great company earlier. So, let me just kick off. I'm going to ask you the first question. How broken is HR experience today?
Very, very broken. So no matter what people say that we care about people, we value people, it's a paradox.
Yeah.
Because as much as they say it, and I believe that they genuinely mean it, but they still look at HR the wrong way. So they still look at HR as a cost division.
Mhm.
They look at
Cost
HR
center.
as, yes, they look like, we're spending money on HR. It's not how HR is going to be part of the success, part of the company. How can HR drive the business? No, it's like how much HR is going to cost us, in that voice. So they look at HR as transactions, paperwork, things that needs to be done, and they don't ever think as HR as really a division that could drive success, that could drive revenue. Never.
Yeah. I'd even
So yes.
I'd go just a little bit further, not too much, but
Hmm.
um, they don't look at it as that it could be a competitive advantage.
Correct.
Like recruiting, people ask Ryan and I all the time, like, who does it the best? We'll just pick recruiting, then we'll do HR. And my pat answer is we don't know because they're not out on the circuit. They're not writing books. They're not telling people because it's become a competitive advantage.
Right.
Yes.
That they do it so well, they're not going to go out and tell other people
Yeah,
that they're.
they're not out there keynoting on stages in front of
Yeah,
3,000 people. This is
yeah,
how amazing we do things.
yeah. Let me give you our playbook on how we've created a competitive advantage in HR.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I wish, but
I
no,
I,
they're not
I
doing
wish.
that.
Well, that's I think that's some of the discourse that I like that y'all are driving is okay. You have this thing called employee experience. Okay, great. Everyone contributes to this. It's got to be orchestrated. It needs to be managed. It needs to be fun, all that stuff. And oh, by the way, there's a whole lot of business outcomes from this that can happen. Productivity, retention, all kinds of cool stuff that can happen if you actually care about the experience. This is proven in if you've ever bought a Bentley or a Rolls Royce or stayed at the Ritz or Four Seasons or interacted with any luxury brand. I mean, you're in LA, so like Rodeo Drive, you go from store to store and it's luxury experience after luxury experience. They will treat you differently, and it's all
Correct.
about the smell and the ambiance, the music, and have a glass of champagne. This, that, and other. Like that's all orchestrated so that you feel a certain way, and then whatever the bid is, if you're shopping for watches or clothes or whatever. But it's like the employee experience. It's so important to so many business outcomes, and if the companies that get it right, we don't hear from them.
Hmm.
They're not out there talking about it. But if you could, it kind of your take on employee experience, kind of the importance of employer experience.
You know, I believe that people genuinely care. They want to offer a good employee experience, but they just do it wrong because they think, all right, I'm gonna get my employees the latest in technology. Sure, but the technology is great. You offer a seamless experience. It's just one piece, one part of it. If you don't change the culture, if you don't change the mindset where it's employee centric, it's employee first, and being proactive, no matter technology that you select, you can go for the most expensive one. It is still going to be the same issue because you put a band aid on something that needed surgery. So you will still have the same pain. So you have really to change the mindset and really move from reactive to proactive and see how you can unburden the HR people while you can offer to the employees a similar experience that they will have outside of work as consumers. Why? Because they've been conditioned without even going to Rodeo Drive. Just take the basics. Take your Netflix experience, take your Amazon experience. That everything and everyone that use like on a daily basis, they offer an amazing experience. That's why they're so successful. So people are conditioned with that experience as consumers. So they're expecting a similar experience as employees. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's really interesting because we just had this last night. So I have a whole bunch of Amazon returns. Speaking of
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, and I have a lot, like too many. We were doing more today because I couldn't carry them all in. That's how many I have. The reason is though is because I know the experience I've had is I can get something that I'm considering and I can return it without friction. There's no issue. However, when I go to the store to return it, I sometimes have an issue at the store, not doing the Amazon return, just with the person.
Right.
Yes.
They're not happy. It's like a long line, or they're super slow, or they don't have the right bag. They got to go. And it actually, it affects the experience that I have with Amazon, because now I consider, well, do I just go to the store and get it? Because I can go return it to the same store and not have, but I never do. I always get it off Amazon. But that's because of the experience. It's baked into me, and I expect that now when I actually go to the store, whether it's UPS or another store, to do the return. I expect the Amazon experience at the actual store. Um, and I have a question. We touched on, or William, you touched on employer experience, and but I want to go to HR experience.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear the term HR experience, what does that mean? How do you define that?
It's anything and everything that does from before you join a company to the day you leave the company. So it starts with the recruiting process. How many times have you been in an interview, or you heard people going to an interview and say, these people are not a good fit for me? It's not a money issue, it's not a salary, it's not a good fit. I don't see myself working there. So it starts from there, from the culture. What are you offering? So people are looking for more than just the money part. They're expecting way more. So it starts before with the recruiting. And then you can have an amazing recruiting experience. And then between the time you sign the contract and the time you start work, so United States about 2 weeks. Some other places it's about 3 months. So what happens during that time? And specific jobs, they have a lot of no-shows, and that has a cost. But why do people don't show? Because even if you think that you close the deal, you sign them, they still have the option not to come. Why? Because you lost the track. So a lot of companies now offer that experience, the pre-boarding experience, where they make you feel like you're part of the family, you're part of the company, even before day one. They will send you a nice email. They say, hey, Ryan, we are so happy to have you join us. Your start date is for July 1st. This is everything you need to know before day one. And a lot of them even offer a portal, which is very nice. People are used to have a portal. They say, if you have any questions, click here. And they offer an amazing experience. And they keep communicating with you through the same experience. Imagine like you have to send documents. You have to send documents, and you will have, let's take the best experience and the worst. Let's start with the worst. Well, I need to send like 20 different documents. I need to fill the documents with my name, my date of birth, my dependents, and it's just lengthy. It takes too much time. And then once I'm done, well, I need to find FedEx or UPS that's open. I need to go scan it. I need to go send it to my email. And then from my email, I need to send it to that person. And sometimes where there is like a field that I didn't really understand, I don't know what it is, I'm going to have a lot of back and forth. And before the 2 weeks, I'm like, yeah, is it always going to be like this? I'm not sure if I want to join these people. Now let's take the other experience. They send you a link, you click, it's on your phone. You're not going anywhere. You're on your couch, you're on the beach, you're taking vacation with your family, whatever you're doing. So on your phone, you're filling the information seamlessly on your phone. And then if you have to sign, you sign on your phone. If you have to send a document, take a picture of the document and send it.
Right.
And you'll be like, wow, that was easy. That was easy. Some jobs you have to pick, you work in IT, you have to pick a computer or a phone. You have to select it. Well, you just select it in there. Some other jobs, I'm thinking about, I'm thinking about a customer of mine, very big in Vegas. They have about 70,000 employees, high turnover. So imagine they said, well, Lila, our employees on their mobile, they can pick their uniform. They can put their size. They can select, we have 2 months of uniform. They can select all of that, and they know exactly where to go and pick it up. the experience is so seamless that it become part of their day-to-day life. It's amazing. People feel like, yeah, I can do that. That's
I think some of the brokenness, Lila,
mm-hmm.
in that experience is that different people own different parts, so it's disparate. I would say siloed, but that's probably kind of an old way of thinking of it. It's sourcing is owned by one group, recruiting, the people that do onboarding, usually that's the baton pass to HR. And then from there, once you get into some of the more stickier stuff of learning and performance and all these other things, there's just different people that own it. So it's disjointed. And it almost kind of begs for like a chief experience officer or something
Mm-hmm.
like that that's thinking about the experience, just like you have a chief customer officer.
Yes.
You have a person that's
Mm-hmm.
always thinking, and retail casinos are great at this as well, is they're thinking about that customer experience.
Yes.
That's every day.
Yeah.
From the hotel key to the, like everything that's going on,
Mm-hmm.
they're thinking about it all. So that they can, and it's all calibration, recalibration stuff where they can kind of dial in on what to change to make it better. So like in an instance where you were talking about the uniforms, you now have two choices. Well, you know what? Now we have four choices. So now we let our employees know, hey, you have four choices because there's two seasons in Vegas, you know, hot and hotter, and so like we can do something like that. Well, then people are excited about something that's really not that big of a deal, but it's a big deal because it's been intentionally thought of. And the intentionality is kind of the key on what you're describing is that it's not happenstance. Great
Mm-hmm.
experiences don't just happen by and
Yes,
large. They're manufactured. There,
that is
there,
true.
there's someone that's playing a symphony. And I think to some degree, we want our CHROs to do that. We
Mm-hmm.
kind of, in a lot of cases, we expect them to do that.
Right.
The expectation is that they own culture. The expectation is they own employee experience. However, we've not set them up to win in those situations, especially employee experience, because of all this disjointed process and technology, I'd say. You've had different technologies that are in there that now employees gotta, some are great and some are like a wonderful experience for the employee and some aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, how Ryan would say at one point, maybe this is AI. Maybe how we make this better for employees over time or candidates, we'll go farther out, candidates to employees to alumni, is we have AI follow them around to make sure that they're enjoying what they're doing, getting everything out of the company that they need, asking and answering questions, etc. So they basically have a personal co-pilot or whatever you'd like to call it that's helping with that experience.
Yeah, could be AI, could be anything. It
Yeah,
starts with a thought.
yeah.
You said it
Caring.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Caring, people care, but
Yeah,
it's really the thought. How do I make it happen?
Right.
right.
And it's really it's interesting that we're comparing retail to HR, because
Right.
retail, you think about the consumer from check-in to check-out, about the entire buying experience to check out and to make sure he returns and he tells others that he had a great experience. So they really invested in that because they see a direct revenue impact. But in HR, because it's seen as
Cost
a
center.
cost
Yeah,
center and
yeah.
not like a revenue impact business, well, it's not thought that way. But imagine if it was thought that way. So instead of having all these silos, they will say, all right, how do I make sure I add something on the top that really follows the employee from the pre-boarding to the onboarding, through the entire changes in his life, through the alumni, and make sure also he's happy, but also says that he's happy, I'm having an amazing experience with this company to others,
Right.
so we can attract more talent. So people, they're not there yet. I know really few companies where they thought about the experience. It's really a handful of them. Unfortunately, a lot of them, despite the fact that they care, they are still they're still not there because the culture didn't change. When they think about experience, they think about tools. Well, as I said, you can put the most amazing tool, but if you don't have the culture change, it won't be enough. You have to change your processes. You have to change your culture. You have to change from reactive to proactive. Then the tool is going to be the instrument.
Right. A quick
You
question.
need both.
What's HR can only do so much, right? Like it's still how cost center or revenue neutral doesn't really make a difference on this part of the conversation. To me, there's a leadership issue here, right? So how do we change leaders' minds, the rest of the C-suite, and I'd actually go further to the board? How do we change their minds about the importance of this?
They need to see it. They need to understand that that will impact their revenue. When you talk to a leader, the first thing you need to put numbers to it. You need to put the cost of attrition, the cost of no-shows, and the cost of retraining an employee after 2 years versus an employee who's been there for like 5-10 years. And how is this impacting directly the revenue part?
Right.
And then when they will see that, oh, HR is really revenue, it is a big part of my revenue, then they will think about it differently.
So, Ryan, go ahead. You had a question.
Yeah, I was gonna. So, Lila, I was gonna ask. You briefly touched on this, but how much of this is technology versus human in the process? I understand you can't just throw technology on top and make the world better. But where can we put technology in this, and then how do we bring this into the company? How do we integrate this into the company and then gain adoption?
You're asking me which one comes first, technology or humans. Honestly, I think it's 50-50. They need to go hand in hand. When you select the technology, don't select technology that goes only for one silo. Think about the entire experience and think about how can I leverage the technology to change the culture. What can I do? So I know systems, they already offer that Netflix experience, Amazon experience, being proactive. So I will tell you, one of my customers, one of my dear customers, is a hospital. They have about 130,000 employees, and every year it's open enrollment. So what they did, they said, all right, let's move from the paperwork and let's introduce technology and let's see the benefits. So they measured the way it is today and then or yesterday, and then they put technology in place, and they said that just putting technology that they already had, but they just made it better. They thought about it in being proactive. Before open enrollment, they published one single article, one single piece of knowledge proactively before open enrollment, saying, open enrollment this year is from this date to this date. This is what you need to know. This is what changed. This is where to go. They reduced the number of requests and questions coming to their HR by over 50%. So imagine on 130,000 employees, 50% reduction. So, and these are not like complex HR issues. It's a question: when is open enrollment starting? Where do I go? What do I need to do? So it's all the things that burdens HR that have zero value add. So they put some piece of automation and they thought about it in a proactive way. 50%. Can you imagine doing that in every single process of a company?
Right.
So what you would have.
Turns out communication is important.
We learned it during COVID. I mean, that was when everyone went home, on Thursday, all of a sudden employee communications became like super important. And it's weird. Here we are, 5 years later or whatever, and it's almost like we've regressed.
I was just gonna say we have. For that moment in time, we kicked ass. Like companies did wonderful. HR were legit heroes in this situation. And now I feel like you're right. It has. It's regressed to the point of, I think, pre-pandemic.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
but they were like firefighters. They had a
Yeah,
situation, they responded to the
Mhm.
situation. Situation is over, they regress, they're back. They didn't think about how can I be proactive and make sure that I have that all the time so I can avoid all other little situations.
right. So I was thinking about customer experiences that you've had. So I'll tell you two, and then y'all think of your own, and then so we'll get. So first time I went to Whole Foods in Austin. First thing, Whole Foods in Austin, where it started, they only hired people that no one else would hire. So that was like their hiring strategy, very, very stated. Like if you had face tattoos and piercings and all that other stuff, if you cared about organic, you cared about, if you cared about stuff, that's all they cared about. They don't care how you looked. And the employees, like you go aisle to aisle, and the employees were so nice and so approachable. It's like, oh man, if you're thinking about that, you need to be thinking about, this bit over here. And it's like, it was easy to buy because the people were so jazzed to be there. They were so excited to be there. And I've had that experience only else experience that I've had that is REI, where I go into an REI and they treat you like, hey, where you at? What level are you at? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? All right, here's what I got. Here's what I've tried. Here's what I've failed at. Like they're just an open book, and like you can tell they love what they do. And then that's orchestrated. That goes back to recruiting and onboarding and all of a sudden enabling them to be themselves, etc. Can y'all think of other stories like that?
I love REI.
Yeah,
It's always the same experience everywhere.
I
Even if I
know.
don't buy anything,
I
I love
say,
the
You just
experience.
go and look.
But
dude,
yeah, but
and they don't
imagine,
care, and they don't care.
yeah,
They're not like they're not miffed at you.
Yeah.
Like if
yes,
you go into Tiffany's and you don't buy something, they are kind of miffed at you. But
Uh,
but
if you go out of REI and they're like, hey, cool, man, we'll see you next time.
exactly. But imagine the same employees, if you burden them with repetitive HR or other tasks, do this and do that, where there is no add value,
Right.
how do you think that will impact the experience to the consumer?
Oh, they'd hate their job.
yeah.
They'd hate,
Absolutely.
well,
Exactly.
they less love their job, and that would directly impact the consumer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what's happening with HR today. HRs are burdened with tasks because I don't believe they're like bad people. They don't love their
No, no, no.
jobs. I think they're
Mm.
genuine because to get into HR, you need to love people. You need to love being at service. But imagine the same employee at REI burden them with tasks that with no added value, the impact on the consumer. This is exactly what we have in a lot of corporates. HR is burdened with a repetitive task with no added value on top of all the other tasks that they have to do. So at the end, it has a direct negative impact to the employee experience.
Yeah. I could think, as you were talking, William, Home Depot for me is that way.
Yeah,
And I'm sure it's the same. I mean, it's pretty much the same, right? They hire plumbers for the plumbers and HVAC
yeah,
for the
yeah.
HVAC. But they've gotten really good at using their phones now. Their in-store phones. It's all AI based, and you can tell you where to go, what to do, all that stuff. Fantastic. However, the guy working or the gal working in plumbing is also now filling in at electrical or stocking end caps or doing whatever. We recently went to we were looking at this is a couple years back. We were looking at doors, and so we were there. We needed help with the measurements and all that stuff. The person who needed to do the measuring was doing something else, not in that one area where they only have the doors, and it made it a really bad experience for us. We ended up purchasing somewhere else, not because of that person, but
Right.
just we couldn't get any help. And we asked,
Mm-hmm.
and we said, you know what, screw it, we're just going to go somewhere else. And ultimately, we did. Cost us more money, but we ultimately went there and got got it somewhere else. But Home Depot is that for me. All right, Leela, I do have a question for you. I know we're coming up on time. If and this is more of a, I say it's more of a fun one, but if we gave you a billboard
Oh,
and you could put that in
Oh,
front of
she's in LA. Put it on Sunset.
Sunset Boulevard. No, no. So for whatever reason, you have the magic eyes, and you know where every CHRO major corporations live. Their condos are looking right out at this billboard. What are you putting on that billboard for them?
oh man, that's an easy question. Call Lila. I'm gonna put my phone number over there. But
Call Leela.
yes, but for
Oh,
people
man.
who don't know me, for the people who know me, honestly, I've been fortunate to be in this business for almost 20 years. You can ask every single person. They will say, "We call Lila." They said the first time she said, "You can call me anytime." We didn't believe her. One of my customers called me at 11 p.m. She picked up the phone and she solved my problem. And I'm like, yeah, this because I stand by my words. But for the people who don't know me, I would put something that says HR is not just a department, it's an engine of business success.
Yeah.
Just
I like that
know
a
how
lot.
to use it. The right, and I would put like engine as big, bold, and
Mhm.
red. Yes, that's what I
You
would
know,
do.
I can't help but think there's something deeper here. Like we have hoodies or T-shirts that just say "Call Leela"
Yes, and I'll put my
with the
phone
phone
number
number,
there.
that
and
could
there's
Of
that,
nothing
course.
else on it. It just says
that
"Call,"
could
and
that
we
could
just
go
walk around
sideways
HR
quickly.
tech with
Call
"Call Leela."
Lila. And people, trust me, people will call because they don't know what to expect.
Right.
I'll put call Lila, I'll put my phone number, and she always
I
answers
think we
with a
should do
smile.
that.
Oh.
Just get you have to send this show that "Call Leela." We'll walk around the HR tech floor and see how many
Yes.
calls you get.
Yes.
That's too funny. Well, this has been fantastic,
Yeah.
quite frankly. I mean, exploring employee experience because this conversation a year ago was completely different than it is now. And it's just gotten even more important and more embedded into those that get it are really kind of off to one side. Those that are just oblivious. It's how do you convert those folks to then care enough to put time, money, and energy behind it so that they can make it a competitive advantage? Because ultimately, that's the goal. The
Mm-hmm.
goal isn't to make them happy. That's a speed bump on the way to
Right.
creating a competitive advantage.
Yes.
So we want them to be happy, check, and fulfilled, and all of those types, seen and heard, and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, we want to create a competitive advantage with HR, and those that have the mindset of that do it. We just don't get to talk to them as often. It's the people that don't do it, or maybe don't even see it for that. They're like, "Oh, we'll create competitive advantage in product. We'll have the best product ever." Well, that's cool, and you should. However, if you have a really, really poor employee experience, you can have the greatest product in the world.
Don't matter.
Who's selling it? Who's marketing it? Who's actually caring for it if they don't care about the company or the product? You've built this is where engineers, the hard science, engineers and scientists, all the people in the hard sciences don't get marketing in a lot of ways is because they think it's a game of building the best product. And it's rarely a game of building the best product. It's more of a game of building all the other stuff that leads to a great experience. And it can be a mediocre product. No one wants to hear that. But if they had a better experience,
Yeah.
It's a
it'll
win.
still work. It still works. Yeah.
It's a win. It's all about the feel. It's all
Yeah.
about the feeling. How how did you feel today at work? Were you treated with respect? Did you had a hard time fixing your payroll issue because you haven't been paid for 2 hours last week? So how did you feel about that? They don't care if the product says snowflake, candy, whatever. They don't care. They really care about how it helped them or didn't help them.
Right.
So
Sometimes
yes.
how it didn't help them is more on the minds than how it did
Oh,
help them,
100%. It gets in
Oh,
the
unfortunately.
that's
way of
human.
it gets in the way
Yeah.
of work because you're
Uh-huh.
Yes.
thinking about that thing,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I've got a performance review next week, and it's a new manager. They only know me, and I've made a couple mistakes, and they're thinking about all that negative stuff, and it's like, how do you disconnect that from like, hey, you've got a job that you're working on right now. That's the most important thing, and go do a good job there. We talked to a fellow uh, a couple hours ago, and his bit was on creativity and innovation.
Oh
But
yeah.
one of the things he said was about failure. It's about
Mm-hmm.
letting people make mistakes, in school when they're young and college,
Having a
and
class on making mistakes.
yeah, and literally like
Mhm.
letting people make mistakes. And I think corporate America, I think, should actually listen to that show in particular around, hey, it's okay to make mistakes. Like it's everyone kind of hides their mistakes from each other. Like, oh man, I sent out an email campaign and it said F name. Okay. Like if you are a marketer and you haven't sent out an email campaign and it
You're
hasn't
not
done
doing it right.
F name or have broken link, you're not doing email
Yeah.
marketing.
Do you remember the one I sent years ago? The
Oh
subject
yeah.
line said "You're a reject." So Lila, this was literally just, I mean, to the team at Lever, thank you for not crucifying me. But
100%.
it was a thing on him. It was like a candidate experience. It was
Yeah.
so joke. It wasn't. It was a joke, but kind of wasn't a joke. In the subject line, I just said "You're a reject." But then inside of it said, "Oh, I'm sorry, your application, whatever, was rejected, or resume was rejected."
Right. Right.
But it was only meant for internalized. Like, hey guys, what do you think about this? And I
Right.
actually
Yes.
hit send to like
Oh,
60,000 plus people,
Yeah.
and let's just say they weren't happy at first, but it was a great
It
return.
worked. It
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 worked.
worked
works
beautifully.
because it's
Yeah,
provocative, and
yeah,
people when they see that, it's like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. So you got
Yes.
to make mistakes. Got to make
The,
mistakes.
the thing is, and it's okay to learn from those mistakes. Again, a part of the employee experience and a part of creating potentially a competitive advantage is systematizing mistakes and like letting people bump into walls, make those mistakes. And instead of like having the shame that comes along generally with a mistake, that you get into a shame spiral and your productivity goes to hell because you're still thinking about the mistake that you made and not thinking about, what can I learn from that mistake? And how can the rest of the company learn, or the rest of my team learn, and stuff like that. So if you're in a shame spiral, it's not only just affecting that person, you're affecting your team
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because you're not producing at your highest level.
of
So
course. But making mistakes is okay. Making mistakes is important. You know what's not okay? Is not doing anything.
yeah, yeah,
Because
Hmm.
when you are not moving forward,
that's
the
right.
rest of the people are moving forward. So by default, you're moving backwards.
Right.
So
I'd go so
maybe
far
you're
as
not, yeah, maybe you're not going as fast as you wish. Maybe sometimes you do 3 steps up, one step back. That's okay. It's still a step forward. Make a mistake, learn from it, fix it, and then do it all over again and try again. You fail, you try again.
yeah, that's an A/B test, right? So you try
Correct?
something, it works. Try
Hmm.
something new, it works better. Okay, you try something else. Yep, didn't do as well as the
That's
last one.
it.
You keep doing that. It's funny, Lily, as you said that. I'd go further in the sense of if you don't make mistakes, you're not trying hard enough, which
Yeah.
is I think
You're
what
not
you
taking
said.
risks.
You're not
You're not
taking
taking
risks.
Not
you're
taking the
not taking
risk.
risks, you're not
You
taking
right,
chances.
and
And
if you're not
somehow
taking
you're gonna die
chances,
in the process.
right, you won't innovate, or you can't
Yes.
innovate.
Yeah.
You could say that how can you innovate if you're not making some mistakes,
That is
breaking a
true.
couple glasses, breaking a couple eggs, all that type of stuff. But this has been wonderful, Leela. Though I could talk to you for another hour or two, but you have work to do. I don't know, expectations, meetings, calls, etc.
Yeah, I have a few,
Got
but
that
this was
billboard to
really
make.
good.
Put
Yes,
her
no, I'm gonna create all these t-shirts. Call Lila.
call
Yeah,
Leela.
just
I'm
nothing else.
down.
Just call Leela.
I'm
Send it
down.
over.
That's
That,
it.
that'd be awesome, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you
Well,
so much for your
yeah.
time. This has been wonderful. Ryan, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, Leela, thank you so much, and to the audience, thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.
All righty.